Welcome again to another amazing episode of AEW Unrestricted. I don't actually know if it's going to be amazing. We got Pillman on today, so it might not be. Anyway, this is Aubrey Edwards, here with my co-host, Tony Schiavone.
Wow. Right across from Aubrey, man.
Boom! Yeah. What's up?
How about a working punch now and then? Jesus Christ.
I just pull it. I don't pull it, man. I don't pull punches.
Okay.
Before we start, I want to say AEW Casino Double or Nothing is now available on the iOS App Store and Google Play. You can download it. You can learn how to play poker and steal chips. That's what I've been doing from people. I just take everyone's money. It's really great. But yeah, lots of different casino games you can play. You can become friends with people, build an awesome community. It's great. I love it. There's going to be awesome updates. We're going to see more and more stuff over the course of time. But yeah, we're not here to talk about casino games. We're here to talk about blondes, particularly those that went to varsity schools. Although, funny enough, neither of them went to, like, what do you call it? Ivy League?
Ivy League schools.
Yeah, neither of them went to Ivy League schools. Let me talk.
Not many people have.
No, it's actually pretty rare. Hey, we got Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. here today.
What's up? What's up? Thanks for having us.
I was going to see how long I could keep talking about you before actually ever looking at you. And
you did a good job. That was like almost a minute.
And actually, it's one of the shortest intros she's ever done. Because usually we're 10 minutes into it before you get your first question.
Before we went on air.
That's one of the charming things about her.
You would not shut up about how much I talk.
Okay.
I'm just nervous all the time.
Okay, let's talk about how the name Varsity Blonde started, and I know that it has a meaning for your father and Steve Austin and the Hollywood Blondes. I mean, you guys have even done the camera thing that they used to do, right? So, talk about how that all got started.
Well, I think initially Tony had referenced us as just the Blondes. One day in the locker room. I remember. First seeing Griff at the airport, thinking, you know what? I was like, I actually pushed him on the shoulder. I was like, you know what? I bet we're tagging tonight. I totally called it. I swear, I called it.
Is that Jungle Boy? No, it's Griff Garrison.
Griff will tell you, I completely called it.
That joke's old.
We get to the building, and Tony's like, hey, why don't you guys tag together? It'll be like the Blondes. And I'm thinking, okay, we need something to spice it up, right?
Right.
And
right.
And Griff had been doing the Ivy League athlete gimmick, so. And for me personally, those were some of the best times of my life going through and playing sports and playing high school and college sports. So I have quite a background in sports within academia and stuff. So I kind of like the theme, of the varsity, the Varsity Blondes, and it kind of has that ring off the tongue like Varsity Blues, the film and stuff.
Love it.
It's kind of a familiar tone, so. And I think it's something that people can relate to, and I think Griff really related to it as well. Also, being an athlete and having a history in sports. So,
also with the whole Ivy League thing, that was my first ever gimmick back when I first started wrestling in 2016. And I came to AEW and they introduced me as that, and I have no idea where they found it.
Right.
And so I just kind of rolled with it.
It's Alex Marvez.
It was Alex Marvez. Okay.
He's
I was
like
wondering. I didn't.
If you want to know a fact, like someone's debut date or where they came from or where they trained, like Alex Marvez keeps all that information.
Oh, okay.
Like all the little cool things that show up on your lower thirds. Like boom, he knows how many title matches I've officiated at AEW. He knows everything.
Okay.
So I'm going to say it was probably him.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That's your trivia for the day, AEW Unrestricted listeners.
So you saw him. You said, I bet you're going to be a tag team. Tony put you together as the Blondes. Didn't seem like it took long for you guys to get chemistry. It seemed like it was there from the very beginning.
Yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere. Like the first few matches were a little rough, and but I mean that's just how you build a good tag team. Not everybody's first match as a team is going to be great, but I mean we've only been teaming together for 5 or 6 months now, maybe, and I mean we're already in the Casino Battle Royale and doing a pay-per-view at Revolution. So I mean it's kind of exciting to see how far we've come in just a short amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've been in there with all sorts of people at this point. We've had tons of matches, so whether we're winning on Dark and then just getting so close to getting a win on Dynamite, at least it shows that we can hang with the best of them.
Right. Your debut was on Dark against Dark Order's Colt Cabana, Alex Reynolds. That you won, and that had to be a big moment for you.
That was being able to step in the ring with guys like Alex and Cole,
Both,
man,
right,
and to be able to beat them,
Yeah.
in such a short time teaming together was a really a great moment for us as the Blondes, as the Varsity Blondes.
How about working with FTR?
Well, FTR, sorry, I can speak on these guys for forever because I'm going to go ahead and spit it out there. They're the best tag team in the world, and I look up to those guys, and I
agree.
I highly value their opinion on stuff, and to be able to work with those guys and to get in the ring with those guys and just absorb all the knowledge that they have about pro wrestling was it meant a lot to me.
Right.
I don't want to speak for you, but it meant a lot to me to be able to, learn from those guys. And just
they're the kind of guys that when you get in the ring with them, you just know in that moment that you're getting better as a
without
performer.
a doubt.
Yeah.
Like
Without a doubt.
like you feel it in slow motion almost. It's like I'm going to be a better wrestler, referee. Like I know I've done it. Like coming out of FTR matches, like wow, I have a complete new respect for this business.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
a lot of other wrestlers within the industry will reach out to me just to ask, like, how was it like to wrestle FTR? Because, and I'll tell you, like, it is like a whole nother ball game. It really feels like, the top of the line, like athletic sport, like at any moment they could be on you, you know what I mean? And you got to be able to counter, you got to be able to react to the pressure that they're putting on you. And it's very, it's very intense when you're in the ring with FTR.
Yeah. You guys have wrestled many matches, and I know you've wrestled, we talked about on Dynamite, against FTR, and you got the Casino Battle Royale at the pay-per-view.
You had Chris Jericho and MJF.
Chris
you had
Jericho, yeah.
Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. Like lots of really solid tag teams.
Right. But sometimes you wrestle on Dark, and as we know, Dark can be pushed to very, very late at night or even early in the morning.
Oh, boy.
Is it tough to stay warm, prepared if I don't know, what's the latest you've wrestled?
I think the latest we've wrestled, I think we were on there like 2:30 at one point, and like you mentioned, it's very hard because I remember at one point, one of my very first times coming to AEW, like I started stretching right after Dynamite was over, and I was like one of the last matches, and I had to stretch like 2 more times, like just to stay warm because like it's crazy just how long, like how many matches there are and how long it is.
Sometimes there's 19, 20 matches after we do Dynamite.
Yeah.
And so it's got to be tough. I mean, it's got to be tough on
I think our
athletes.
record so far is like 24.
24?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're cruising though. We're starting to get it.
Okay. Yeah. So I've been asked many times, they say, we got a long night. Do you have any suggestions? I say, yeah, put the Varsity Blondes on last.
Oh.
Save the best for last.
People will want to stay.
Griff, that's a great comeback.
They want to see him do the deal.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're saying book the show properly, basically, yeah.
Just ask Brody Lee Jr. He's already booking shows.
Griff, Lance Archer has been a mentor to you, right?
Yes, sir.
What kind of things is he telling you?
He just always comes up to me and he's like, remember how big you are, like not necessarily muscle wise, but like how tall you are. And remember to just stay tall. Like he got mad at me after one match. He was like, look, man, you're bumping. These guys are like so much smaller, like shorter than you. Just like remember how tall you are. Remember like all that stuff. So like I always go to him for advice, but he always comes and like lets me know if I could have done something better. Or
that's the best because then you know that like he has a vested interest in you getting better.
Yeah,
like
that's
unsolicited feedback is always the best kind of feedback.
That's how it is. Like I hate when I wrestle and like I'll ask guys like, hey, did you watch the match? And they're like, yeah, you were great or whatever. Like I'd much rather hear like constructive criticism than yeah, it was great because I know every single match I've had has not been perfect, and I know I can learn something from every match. So I really appreciate like guys like FTR, like we were talking about earlier.
Well, segue, fun story, because there was a match we worked on Dark. It was me, you, and MJF. No match is perfect, but it was really good, very well done. To the point that TK says, actually, no, we're not going to put this match on Dark. We're going to do the same match on Dynamite, like identical. And so, I mean, it's maybe not perfect, but it was good enough to like completely scrap it on one show and put it on another.
Right. That actually, I think that was my 3rd time coming down to Jacksonville. And,
really?
And it was because the first time I wrestled Lance and Jimmy, and then I had the match with Ricky the 2nd time, and then MJF the 3rd time. And to be able to like have that acknowledgement from someone like Tony and Max to want to do it on Dynamite, that was very special to me.
Brian, your debut on Dark was July of last year. It was episode number 41.
Yes, it was.
Talk about how significant that is to you.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool because, as you all know, my Instagram name is Flying Brian 41.
Right.
And,
and that's always kind of been like the family number, like when you see it, it's good luck and things like that. So I when I played football, I was always 41, and maybe my senior year I was 52 or something. But in lacrosse, I was 41. And then when my dad played for the Miami Redhawks, or they're called the Redhawks now,
right?
They
were the Redskins
back then. He was number 41. So my Aunt Linda has just always taught me like that's the family number,
right?
So it was kind of really cool, and it was I'm sure it was a total coincidence, but to debut for the company that I've been vying for a spot at on that episode, it kind of meant a lot to me. So it was a very special match. I went against Sean Spears. A guy who I, had a lot of respect for going into the match,
great guy.
But even more, after the match, the level that he's at, and just how valuable it is to have those guys on the roster that can really lead and can really work at a high level where there's no, ifs, ands, or buts about it. No matter what, it's going to come out great, right?
Sure.
The product. So it was a true blessing. And then I guess like how I performed there reflected well enough that they ended up putting me in another match against Brian Cage the next night. So so I kind of found my groove with, I'm going to show up and do whatever job they tell me to do. I'm going to do the best job. Like I'm not worried about, who's winning or who's losing or how much offense, how little. It's like, how big do they want these bumps? How big, like what camera angles you want? Like I'm thinking about what's best for business.
What's best for a TV
and
match?
It's like if I take a nasty bump or something like in the match with Ricky and Brian, and it looks great, it's on TV and that's good for our viewers.
Right.
Like that's what that's what we're here for.
Even if the steel steps are there.
I was going to ask if you didn't mention that.
Even if the steel steps
I was like, his ass just ripped in half.
If I'm feeling okay after it and it got a good reaction,
it did.
Then we're happy, right?
It
I
really
think
did.
everyone in the back was just like, oh God.
I know the fans are going to be asking questions. We got fan questions coming up, but I wanted to ask you a question about your dad because I work with him a lot.
Yeah,
as you know, and he was one of those guys that could do. Well, he could do anything. It could be any character, from a real good guy to a real bad guy. Could do a lot of things in the ring. As his son and his namesake, is there any pressure on you? You think because of how he was held up and revered in the business?
Absolutely. And I think I've had that pressure, since the first day. You know what I mean? I've always been kind of looked at a little bit differently, and people in training have sort of, even from the first week in training, people have sort of treated me differently or spoke to me a little bit differently, and I think the pressure wears off the more comfortable I get, with my profession and stuff, and I think with the amount of traveling and things I've done, like prior to the pandemic and prior to coming to AEW, I really learned a lot, on the road, a lot about myself and stuff, and those long drives, and you're cutting promos, and you're kind of finding out who you are and your character,
right?
And how I can do, how can I tribute to my father while also staying true to myself? Sure. Is something that I've looked inwards at a lot. So, but no, I think the more experience I get, I think the less pressure I have.
Yeah,
because I know what the goal of wrestling is at the end of the day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I know, like, at the end of the day, if we're doing good business, whether that's telling a story that connects to me in the real world, I don't have like a gimmick per se. Like I do kind of play off of being a second generation because wrestling's very real to me. It's very serious to me. So I try to just be myself in all aspects, and turn that up as much as I can.
Yeah, I got it.
Were you guys both full time on the indies before the pandemic hit?
I was doing probably 2 to 3 shows a week. So, I mean, I wasn't necessarily full time, but I was just, because I had a day job. I still have a day job when I'm back home. I work for my dad and his friends as a mechanic. So I deliver parts to people and bring parts back and stuff like that and fix up cars and stuff like that. So.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So you guys, you had obviously a plan B when the pandemic hit.
Yeah, I actually have a plan C as well. I have a double major in education and history. So
Is that from Guilford College?
That's from Guilford College, yes.
Yeah, because my wife went to Guilford.
Oh, wow.
Probably the same time your grandmother.
I want to do like
alive.
I want to do like a degree on a pole match.
Yeah.
Like Luchasaurus versus Griff Garrison.
Okay.
That'd be sweet.
That'd be super sweet.
That would be.
How many wrestlers actually have degrees though?
So we're going to go.
Hey, I have a degree too.
You do?
Yeah, my degree is in business information systems.
Whoa.
What is
Northern
that?
Kentucky University. It's like SQL. Like
database
the
stuff.
database stuff. Yeah, there's database stuff like querying databases for car dealerships. But I worked for a Fortune 50 company, CDK Global.
Wow.
And I left that to get into wrestling because I just I just wasn't for me.
He's just going to leave a sure thing to start bumping on plywood.
I can't. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly how it went. So when they laid me off, it was just good timing that they laid me off. I think they knew I wanted to quit.
Right.
They were like, how can we let him go in time for his training so that he can. And then they laid me off. I got a good severance, and I used all that to pay for the training in wrestling. So
there you go.
Wow.
I just took whatever they gave me, and I was like, all right.
Severance is great.
Give it to this man in Canada named Lance Storm, and, give it a 3-month shot, see if I like it.
Great trainer.
Here we are now.
Worked out for you.
We are talking with the Varsity Blondes, Griff and Brian Pillman. And next we're going to talk about their careers prior to AEW. This is AEW Unrestricted. We are talking with Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr., and we are talking to the Varsity Blondes. And right before our break there, Brian, you were talking about your training. You trained by Lance Storm and Rip Rogers, right? We got that right?
Yeah. I gotta give credit to Rip where credit's due. I took my very first bump in his ring, so knocked the wind out of me. I came in there. Yeah, I came in there expecting a whole, super safety precautions, all this stuff. And he's like, now go on in there and take a bump,
On in there, take a bump.
He's calling you names and all these different words in the book that you can't say today. But I go out there, I take my first bump, it knocks the wind out of me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I'm like, people do this, and then like
my dad
did 3, and I'm like, I thought honestly I was getting like super hurt every time, and then eventually, you just get numb to it,
So you got your severance, you said, and you gave your money to Lance Storm.
So I would say like in February I started February of 2017 I started poking around and like visiting some different indie shows and like just showing up and meeting people.
Right.
And like started going down to Rips at that same time. Like all right, I'll visit indies and then I'll go to Rips. But like Rips training was on the weekend, so it was kind of hard, Right. I always did Saturday, Sunday training. I'm like, Rip, how are you going to do this when kids got to go to shows to like get on?
That's when they work.
Yeah, so it was kind of odd, but like they still had shows like the Saturdays after training, so it was all kind of within the same program. OVW wasn't a bad place at all to kind of get started and look around and I learned some pretty basic stuff but he told me he didn't want me to like start over with their program. He was like, just come to the advanced classes, and then when you start over, you can start over when you go to Canada. He's like, I know you're going to go to Canada to get your full degree or whatever, but just while you're degree in wrestling, but just while you're here, just sit in on these classes and watch people and see how they work, just to get a grasp of it. So for that many months, from March till September, I just went to Rips on the weekends to kind of cut my teeth a little bit. And then finally in September, it was the first day of practice, so September 11th, 2017 at Lance Storm's.
Yeah.
And we trained until December 1st, 2017, had my first match December 31st.
You started right around the same time I did then.
Yeah.
Because I was July 2017, so.
And I think Griff's been wrestling for just about as long or a little
2016?
2016, but years before that, I did what they always said not to do, and I backyard wrestled on the trampoline. And me and my neighborhood
our
friend.
Executives are backyard wrestlers, famous. Like, screw it, doesn't matter anymore. You can totally do it and then run your own company and have a television show on TV. Proven.
I did that for so long. I remember Mondays was recycle day. We would go by everybody's their mailbox and steal all their cardboard and use it as tables for our tables matches.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, and
literally recycling.
And we wrestled all through high school, like with all our buddies on the trampoline in the backyard and stuff. And one of my buddies now, he's still a wrestler. He's just injured. His name's Marcus Cross. We looked at each other and we were like, man, let's do this for real. But like, we didn't think there was any wrestling schools 4 years ago other than the company that shall not be named.
Right.
But we looked up schools and we found a ton in North Carolina because North Carolina is the wrestling state for sure.
Yeah, very much so.
We found one
working out there.
We found one up in Greensboro, which is not far from where we live at all.
Yeah.
And started training there, and we just, from the first moment I took a first bump, I loved it, and we were training there probably 6 days a week, and graduated from the program at Firestar Pro Wrestling Academy in about 6 or 7 months, and started doing bookings. Started going down to Georgia, wrestling at shows. Met a guy named Bill Behrens, and he's just helped me out since then, and he's gotten me here. So,
yeah, very cool. So, where in North Carolina did you grow up?
I actually was born in Atlanta and moved when I was in grade school to Winston-Salem, and now I'm in the Greensboro area.
That's funny. I was born in Atlanta too. Did I tell you that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
How about that?
Another connection between you two. Cool. So both of you started coming in right around the pandemic when that hit. I remember trying to remember the timeline a little bit. I know you had come in a little bit, had about 3 matches or so before you were sort of full-time. Right. I remember finding out Griff was hired by the company because we had a big old company Zoom call.
So the match with MJF was only your 3rd visit there?
Yeah.
So then we did kind of start coming in around the same time.
Right around the same time, yeah.
I remember I was there for that.
Yep.
So I must have been there for a couple before that, maybe.
A little bit.
Or maybe my first one was when he did her second one. But yeah, relatively the same time.
I remember Griff was backstage and a couple of people were like, man, if this was the old school days, someone would be telling Griff he's got to cut his hair because he's stealing Jungle Boy's gimmick. And then in the true AEW fashion, that just became a bit on BTE.
Yeah.
It's like the who the fuck is Griff Garrison?
Yeah.
Type thing. It's
Love
like,
it.
ooh, what?
Who the
But
fuck
now
is he?
you've sort of become like one of the de facto co-stars to Fuego del Sol on Sammy's vlog. Because it's not Sammy's vlog, it's now Fuego's vlog.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. That's a lot of fun, just being able to hang out with those guys. And the who the fuck is Griff Garrison thing, I have to thank Brody for that. Brody and John Silver, like I give them so much thanks for that, because that got me over in a way that I probably couldn't have done myself. Right. And being able to be a part of Sammy Vlogs, or I should say Fuego Vlogs.
It's Fuego Vlogs.
Is a lot of fun, because I've grown closer to those guys, and just being able to bond with them and hang out with them is a whole lot of fun.
Brian, in 2019, you were Pro Wrestling Illustrated's Rookie of the Year. What did that mean to you? Because there's a lot of kids out there trying to get noticed, right?
Yeah, that was huge for me. When you look down the list of it, there's quite a few names on there. I think Kurt Angle and Stone Cold and a lot of guys. So it was honestly a bit of a surprise, because with my career and the uniqueness of with being who I am, there was a lot of eyes on me like really early.
Yeah.
So it was kind of people were trying to determine what considers a wrestler's rookie year. Is it your first year on TV? Is it your first year on these higher level indies? And I was doing MLW, and MLW was becoming a reputable TV show at the time. So it was more or less like, okay, we got the Observer rookie, we got the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Rookie of the Year, and I'm just like, okay, so 1 year I believe was like they treated it as my rookie year for Observer, but like a different calendar year maybe was Pro Wrestling Illustrated. But either way, it was a huge honor to receive it with Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And then I think the year that I got like second or third place in the Observer, Ronda Rousey won it that year. So I had a good running in both. But, but Pro Wrestling Illustrated, I won it there. And then just kind of we made a thing of it on MLW and just sort of a gimmick on there too. So then I guess it was like I was 2-time Rookie of the Year. You know what I mean? Like trying to and then I was like, what if something else gives it to me? And then I'm 3 times. So we were trying to make a gimmick out of it. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'll get AEW
Rookie of the Year, right.
Yeah,
Is there like an EGOT equivalent in wrestling?
A what?
An EGOT? The Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony? Where you win all the awards and all the different...
No.
But yeah, vote me in. Vote me in this year for AEW.
Brian Pillman Jr., the first to win the wrestling EGOT.
Write my name in.
I'll take it.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, and man, I'm really... I don't know if I should bring this up or not.
Then do it.
Okay.
It's unrestricted.
You can freestyle rap.
Oh gosh.
Oh, you shouldn't have brought that up.
Yeah, it's been a long minute. That's not as true anymore. I don't know.
Okay, all right. I wasn't necessarily asking you to do it.
No.
But I mean, it's
My phone's already blowing up. Austin Gunn's like, who the hell is this
I was gonna
woman
say,
guy? What does he think he's
the
doing?
throne has been claimed by Austin Gunn at AEW. But I will say, growing up a young kid, losing my dad, I kind of grew up in some less fortunate neighborhoods and stuff, and just some of us neighborhood kids would get together and have these little freestyle battles and stuff, and like in a lot of the media and pop culture I'd watch growing up, like that was like a cool thing to do. So it's like in high school I'd actually like host these freestyle battles.
Whoa!
Where we would like in the
MC
middle
Pillman.
Changing classes, like you're not like you're supposed to get to your class, you got 15 minutes or whatever. Like I would get everybody to stop in the hallway.
I had 6.
We had 7.
And like literally like just clog up the whole hallway with these rap battles, and then eventually the principal came down and started breaking them up. But it was a good run.
He's just waiting there in the hallway, waiting for you guys. Like, nope,
Yeah.
you thought you were gonna rap today.
I was like, dang it, no, because it was a huge disruption, like to the economics of the hallways,
Economics, more of the traffic flow, but we'll let economics fly.
Logistics.
There you go. That's a good
Kids
word.
in your school would rap battle. Kids in my school would just fight each other.
Really? Yeah, we had our fair share of fights, dude. Don't get me wrong.
You guys, as even me at my advanced age, and Basil and this girl here,
Yeah.
we all love video games.
Oh.
And,
Yeah, I'm a big gamer.
Yeah. So, Griff, first of all, what's your favorite game to play?
I like playing NBA 2K.
Yeah.
That and Madden. Those are my 2 games. I could play those
That
all night
Madden.
long
That Madden.
online.
Who's your
Yeah,
Madden
Madden.
team?
My Madden team is my team in real life, which is the Rams.
Oh.
I like but I do like using the Seahawks too, because I like having Russell Wilson. I like having a running quarterback in Madden.
Yeah.
I'm not a Seahawks fan.
You're not?
No, despite being from Seattle, I don't like
I was
the
about to
Seahawks.
say you're from Seattle.
Brian,
No,
The only-
I was
the
a
only-
Cowboys fan for a long time,
only
but now
Madden I
I'm a
ever-
Jaguars fan.
The only Madden I ever played was Madden 2002, where Michael Vick was the most broken character in the game because you could literally, he had like 99 plus stat.
Well,
and his
because he was
speed,
Michael Vick.
And you could run circles around people. And you were the quarterback, so you started with the ball, so you just always run the speed option and score every time.
Because you're Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Michael Vick's
So it was
dead.
like the most
one of the
like
best ever played.
imbalanced Madden game ever. It was
Yeah.
great. And I love when things like I love when video games, 'cause I'm a big gamer myself. I love when there's like no balance whatsoever and it's just super chaotic. Like you got all these developers with these online games like, you know, League of Legends, World of Warcraft, and they're always trying to like balance it to make it fair. And I'm like, no, it's more fun when like a couple characters are just absurdly like
He's so wrong.
OP.
So wrong.
Isn't he always?
He's so wrong. Because what that does is it ends up pissing off other players, and then they're less likely to purchase your products in the future. So it's
Yeah.
worse for your bottom line when your game isn't balanced. So fuck you,
I bet it is,
Pillman.
but it's probably more fun.
Game developers
Or if
don't know
there's,
what they want. Blah, blah,
I like
blah.
when
You know what? I
I like
didn't
when
like you
there's-
before this.
I like when there's
Now-
cheese, like when there's cheesy strats. We call it cheese.
I wondered something that I wanted to ask you early, but when we talked about the Varsity Blondes and you guys coming in and using the camera and
Yeah.
a throwback to the Hollywood Blondes, have you heard from Steve Austin at all about this gimmick?
I've attempted to reach out to Steve
Yeah.
a couple of times. I haven't heard back yet, but
Yeah.
but my ultimate ploy is that he would be our coach and he would come out of the curtain in a tracksuit and a whistle.
Yeah.
And, you know, and if we didn't hit the ropes right, he's like, drop and give me, you know, like
Yeah.
he's on us, you know, and he's
Right.
making us do drills before the match
Yeah.
to warm
Oh,
up.
boy.
He's like, 50 jumping jack, you know, like real drill sergeant.
blow me up before the
football
match.
coach.
Yeah.
And then we'd always be ready. We'd always be warmed up. And we'd have a mean, angry coach to
And you get
rile
blown
us
up within the first 2
and
minutes
then
of
we
the
wouldn't
match.
fail because we would know that if we lost the match, we were going to get, you know,
Right.
reamed at, you know. So I think he would be a good motivator for us, and he would help us get our act together. So to
Or
speak.
having coming out with a couple cans of beer,
That
you
too.
know, pouring it
Yeah.
down his throat, and
Yeah.
then when
And
he
we
didn't
can
do
play
what he
beer
wanted,
pong,
he'd
yeah.
smash you over the head with a beer
Yeah.
can.
So I'm waiting to hear
booking all
back from him.
this.
So
all this.
the text has been sent. So
There you go. Just tell Brody Lee Jr. He'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Books whatever he wants.
Exactly right.
Steve was like, all right, I'll do it.
Okay. So we're talking.
I'll do it for Bradley Jr.
We're talking to Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman. We're talking about their history. And as always, and this is an exciting part of what we do, we ask fans online to give their questions.
Ooh.
And most of the questions we got said, who the fuck is Griff Garrison? That's not
Who
true.
is this guy?
I don't even know.
We'll give you fan questions coming up.
This is AEW Unrestricted. Tony and Aubrey here with Griff and Brian, Varsity Blondes. Been talking a lot about their history in wrestling, training, how they came together as a tag team, and now we've got fan questions. First question comes from Ref Aubrey on Twitter.
Ref Aubrey on Twitter.
Yeah. What are your hair care routines?
Ooh.
Griff, we'll start with yours because it's terrible.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Phone. She's got.
Why don't you just drop the mic and
got
now
it.
drop the
Just
mic
gonna-
and backhand
Dude,
his ass?
talking
Okay.
shit is how I show affection.
I'm
you know
just gonna
this.
go to the barber and shave it all off.
No, don't. That's your branding, brother.
No.
That's true. So I shower, obviously.
Good.
Good. That's a start.
I use 3-in-1 Suave just for men.
There you go. Yeah.
You can't have.
But I've been told by plenty
Shampoo.
of people, and I'm gonna start. My
is
girlfriend
good
in
stuff.
particular, she's like, you gotta. It's not healthy for your curls, apparently.
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
not.
but
gotta
whenever I
get
get
that
out of
body.
the shower, I have a t-shirt, and I scrunch my hair.
That's how you do
I
it.
scrunch my hair till it gets just damp and not soaking wet. Then I'll put a little bit of mousse in it.
Mousse in the
Mousse in it.
diffuser.
Yep, and then it curls it right up, and that's all I do. It takes about 5 minutes.
That's fair. I like your routine now. I take it back. I take it back.
Thank you,
Hillman,
thank
what
you.
about you?
Me, I like to, especially if I have highlights in, I like to shampoo with a purple shampoo, like
Purple?
a blonde shampoo. You know?
Ah.
I don't know why, but they're always purple, but they're supposed to bring out the blonde in your hair.
Yeah.
And then I'll use a conditioner of the same brand or just any conditioner. And sometimes I don't use shampoo because you don't want to overly shampoo.
No,
your
you
hair.
want to shampoo,
So
like,
sometimes I get in the shower and I
twice
just
a week.
throw some conditioner in it, and it's fresh and ready to go.
Just keep it
And
moist.
And then I always, when I go to work or when I go somewhere I want my hair to look nice, on any other day I don't do this, but this is like, okay, I'm getting ready, you know. I put in some leave-in conditioner, like I dampen my hair down. Or I
Yeah,
dry
you got to
my hair
have
down a
the
little
deep
bit.
conditioning treatment.
It's damp. I put it in the conditioner and I scrunch it up like this with my hands.
Yeah.
And then I put in a Sebastian curl cream.
Whoa.
My hands. And then I scrunch it up like so. Same thing. And then I let it air dry.
Wow.
Yep.
Damn. I learned so much
Yeah,
today.
you sure did.
I did.
You have brought back the mullet. I mean, you really have.
I appreciate that, Tony. I've had it for, since I started wrestling. What we talked about earlier was my first match, December 31st, 2017. I had a mullet.
Did you cut the mullet for the wrestling, or did you have a mullet prior to wrestling?
No, I started growing my hair out in anticipation to have long hair for wrestling. Mm-hmm. And then when I was at training at Lance Storm's, I just had like a long skateboarder haircut, like a bowl going. But, the beginnings of a mullet, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
All I had to do was cut the front and I'd have a short one, Mm-hmm. And that's when Lance told us in training that the mullets were a functional, completely functional haircut. Like it was nothing to do with style. It was to keep the hair out of your eyes while you wrestled.
But you still had hair so you can sell.
So you could sell and have the drama and the good looks. So in my eyes, I was just making a functional career decision to be a better athlete, you know, and it just so happened to be a mullet.
What a guy.
Now we can actually get to fan questions.
Okay. Mike Chiodo says hit the music. Says hit the music on Twitter.
Oh, okay. So not actually Mike Chiodo.
Not Chiodo.
Okay.
For Brian, do you still keep in touch with David Benoit?
That's an interesting one. I've tried to reach out to him recently, but I haven't heard back from him. I know he was interested in the business for a bit, but it's been a while since I talked to David.
Okay. For Griff from Mike Chiodo, which is not the referee. Somebody stealing his name.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's wrestling.
Thief. For Griff, you making the front double bicep pose your thing?
I guess so. I've been really working on my arms, and they've gotten. I must say, they have since I've been here. I don't brag on myself a lot, but I will right now. They've gotten significantly bigger since I first started coming here.
I remember early on. I mean, part of it is wrestling, and you're kind of like critiquing everyone, but it's like, man, that Griff guy would be really great. He just needs to put on a little bit more muscle, and you have.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah. You got what's going on.
That's sign
He's no longer a rail.
No.
Next question.
Emily on Twitter, if you guys could go back in time, pre-wrestling, is there any advice you would give to your younger self? And if so, what would it be? Griff, how about you?
I would say stay consistent. There was a lot of times as a kid where I would just be inconsistent with just school and sports and stuff. I couldn't make up my mind per se, and I would just stay consistent on what you want to do and be persistent on and just stick with it because it's gonna happen for you one day.
What about you, Pillman?
I would probably tell myself to, and it's hard to say what would I tell myself because everything we've done has gotten us to where we are now. You know what I mean? So
True.
it's not like I would take any.
It was actually pretty deep.
I wouldn't make any crazy drastic changes, but I could give myself the advice of to not be so anxious or maybe when I was in college and again maybe look at different things other than obviously I ended up in wrestling, so I'm not really utilizing my degree anymore.
Yeah, you got that backup plan.
But the lessons that I learned in the business, because wrestling is a business, you know what I mean? So those business things I did are now applicable in wrestling, so I can't really say. But just maybe different financial advice. Or you know what I would have done? Actually, I know exactly. I would have told myself when I was in college to buy Bitcoin because when when I was in college, it was the big thing, and it was so cheap. It was 7 cents for a Bitcoin.
Yeah,
right.
And it was just why didn't I just buy 1 million of them? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm so mad at myself. But either way,
All right. I am RX777N on Twitter. This is a long one, but there's a question at the end of this, okay? So hang with us. I followed Griff Garrison only because Brian told me to on Twitter.
That's our campaign for 50K. We're on our way.
Otherwise, I don't know who the fuck Griff Garrison is. Now, that aside, what kind of music are you guys into?
I was so prepared for a question that was not related to the one you
that was
asked.
a nice swerve. I like that.
We both like similar music.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Red Hot Chili Peppers. I could listen to Red Hot
As
Chili
am
Peppers all day.
Yeah.
We actually found that out yesterday doing another interview together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We sang a duet. It was great.
What duet did you sing?
Scar tissue that I wish you saw. Sarcastic to know it all. Close your eyes and I'll kiss you.
Okay, stop. I think we can only do 15 seconds before we get DMCA.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
really? You can't even pipe them
Who
out.
freaking knows?
Right, I don't know.
That was cool.
Sorry, Jeff Jones. This is going to get banned from YouTube. I don't know. Okay, stop. Hey,
That was good.
it was good. It was good.
Really? Can
I
we
just don't
really
want.
get banned
I just don't want you to get our shit banned.
I don't
Really?
know.
I don't want to risk it.
She's just ribbing me.
Okay, Gary on Twitter, for Brian, when it comes to your career, do you love it or hate it when people compare you to your father in almost everything you do in the ring?
I think it was, again, I think my skin gets thicker with each passing, week,
It has to in this business.
But, I was only 3 months in when I first started doing MLW TV, all that exposure on YouTube and all those different channels they have internationally. So I never really had enough time to sit and dread and sit and think about all the comparisons. And I just made it a point to not overtly study his work, so I don't intentionally or subconsciously do a bunch of his moveset and a bunch of his mannerisms. So I try to maintain, at least if somebody does see some things and some comparisons, that at least they're just natural and genetic and not like me trying to fit some sort of mold or some sort of bill. You know what I mean? I just be myself, and if there are some comparisons made, then great. Probably will be, because we are built the same and we have the same kind of cruiserweight, you know what I mean? When you're that same size, you're going to do a lot of the same offense and same thing.
Especially when you go up top on the turnbuckle. I mean, as one of the announcers, we mention that.
Yeah.
But we don't hammer that home. In other words, we don't talk the whole time about you being his son and what he would have done. Yeah. But we acknowledge some of the things that you do similar. And your
name is Pillman Jr., so it's pretty apparent.
It's pretty apparent looking at you. You were Brian Pillman's son, even though we didn't know it.
Yeah.
I mean, right. So,
Yeah.
And just the name, Flying Brian, you made that term so big and during its time, he's going off the top, so it's I don't want to set the precedent. I don't want to be Flying Brian Jr. I'm just Brian Pillman Jr.
Right.
But in the given instance, if I'm in the air, you could say, oh, he's flying,
flying like his
if
dad.
I'm midair, I'm flying.
Variety. Spice of life.
In the moment, Flying Brian.
Okay, I'm going to combine the next two because they're about food.
Oh,
Ooh, I like it.
Grindwork on Twitter wants to know, Griff Garrison, what's your favorite type of pizza?
Pineapple.
Pineapple. So there you go.
Done.
Thank you for
Nice having you here, Aubrey.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for getting rid of the bitch.
Yeah.
Oh, it's deadlift shrimp. Hey, Seattle Supersonics.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Pineapple does not belong on pizza. That's my
Yes,
personal
pineapple
stance.
is fine on pizza.
Pineapple is
and ham,
perfectly
If
pineapple
you're a
and bacon.
bitch ass.
I feel like it's the only fruit that really gets that option. So why not?
I'd put anything on a pizza.
Avocado?
Avocado is a fruit.
It is a fruit.
Really? You put avocado on pizza?
Have you tried it?
Why don't you just put a chunk of Play-Doh on pizza?
Oh,
How dare you? Avocados are magic.
Yeah.
yeah. But if you can do avocados, you can definitely do pineapple.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's
without a
different
doubt.
flavor profile.
Okay, so here's another one. That's a food question from the unbreakable Kimmy C. For Brian, Skyline or Gold Star?
Ooh, so that's tough, So there's some items at Gold Star that really get me, but
Really?
But the ideal chili, the best chili is Skyline. You
Yeah.
know, in the Cincinnati
On spaghetti.
area. Yeah,
That's wonderful.
Skyline's got it
Yeah.
figured out to a science. Now Gold Star, I had one that was much closer to my house that I used to live at, so
Right.
I ended up eating a lot of Gold Star. I will say I betrayed very often, but all the way Skyline. But there's also a sleeper one called Dixie Chili.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I really like that one.
It took me about 30 seconds before I realized you guys were talking about chili.
Yeah, that's.
I didn't know what
we're
Skyline or
talking
Gold
about.
Star was.
Cincinnati chili.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
See, Shivani's cultured. He's had it.
Yeah,
you guys aren't.
Yeah, it's-
Vegan,
you guys
don't
are
eat
very-
animals.
It is.
You
It
guys
is.
are-
It is. If you
Well-
take that hot spaghetti, and then you put the chili on it, and then you have that mound of fluffy cheese on top of that, it's probably the best hangover medicine you can have.
Oh yeah.
It's really,
I mean,
you
it does sound delicious.
take a can of chili, and a block of cream cheese, mix them together in the microwave, and a great chili cheese dip.
I made the chili cheese dip last night. I had some of the boys over.
Yeah.
Griff was invited, but he didn't want to come. So
Not true.
So there's
my girlfriend. I'm a good boyfriend. I'm a
For
good
all you
supportive
people
boyfriend.
in Cincinnati,
he is.
not only in Cincinnati, I've had Skyline chili in Louisville, Kentucky, all over.
Yeah. but you would have tried it last night. It's
right,
good.
all over northern Kentucky and into Ohio. Skyline and Gold Star, they are the standards.
The
so to speak.
standard. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you can get it in a can in your grocery store, but you can't be a vegan.
You can't.
no vegans allowed. Sorry.
Chili's not as good when you're vegan. I mean, you can
Well, I
find it,
guess.
but you
Is
just,
anything as good when you're vegan?
yes, but you kind of just accept defeat. Like It's like there's going to be an asterisk after everything. It's like, yeah, this is really good ice cream, but it's got coconuts in it.
It's kind of like, it's like, we're going to have steak. Aubrey, you want to come? No, I'll just chew on this chunk of wood.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love you, don't you?
Fake tits are still great, dude. I'm just going to say, it doesn't have to be fully real.
I have no idea where that one went. Go to the next question.
Hey, God. This is from Clarence Pryor on Twitter. Speedos, hot or not for the Varsity Blondes?
Well, we wear them when we wrestle. So
Great.
Hot.
they would be hot.
Hot. Very hot. Like chili.
I have worn a pair of wrestling trunks to a pool party one time.
Have you? What was the
It
response?
was the life of the party.
Was it because of the trunks?
It was a lot of it was because of I was jacked and tanned. There was a large,
Got a mullet?
large
You got a mullet.
This is pre-mullet.
Speedo, Brian.
This is
Pre-mullet.
Yeah,
So there's no party in the back.
I was training to go wrestle, so I had like a pair of trunks that somebody had sent me just to practice in.
Huh.
And I was like, I'll wear them to these pool party. And
So they weren't even your
I'll
trunks.
Pretend I'm this cool pro wrestler. This is before I was a cool
Just
pro
a
wrestler.
banana hammock.
This is pre-pro wrestler life.
Thinks he's a cool pro wrestler.
We made it this far. So the pool party was the start of my legendary career, and then now here we are.
Well, guys, you're top rising stars. Talking to a knucklehead referee here with us.
Yep.
Okay, no, you are
The one
top
and only.
rising stars, and you've done a great job so far. I got a chance to work with Brian MLW for a short period of time. It's where we met, and Griff, you guys are obviously moving up the ranks. You're going to be, you've been on the pay-per-view. You're going to be on Dynamite, one of the top tag teams. You got to be happy about during this pandemic that we're all sitting here doing quite well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like once, like a year ago when I got the text, it was just like my world just flipped upside down for the better.
Right.
And so because all the bookings I was taking were just down the toilet, and I just thought like, oh, well, I got to find a shoot job for the rest of my life now. Then I got the call actually, and it was just now we're here, and it's just unbelievable how much can happen in just a short period of time of a year.
I have a feeling we'll be calling your matches for a long time.
Hope
Thanks
so.
for being with us, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us, Tony.
No problem.
You can follow them on Twitter, Flying Brian Jr. and Griff Garrison 1. Make sure you help them get to 50K. Woo! Subscribe to AEW Unrestricted Podcast for free wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Thursday morning. And then you can check us out on YouTube. Just search AEW Unrestricted and watch all the cool episodes with all of our roster members.
Yes. And don't forget to join us on AEW Dark on Tuesdays. And that's on our YouTube channel. But then again, don't forget the very next day, it is AEW Dynamite! Woo! On TNT, 8 o'clock, 7 Central.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job. My name is Tony Schiavone.
My name is Aubrey Edwards.
And thanks for being with us on AEW
Unrestricted. Sweet.